I have traversed into another realm. This is a world where one cultivates through the ancient language of the gods to as an ordinary individual. I am unqualified to engage in cultivation, nor do I possess the ability to comprehend the ancient tongue of the gods. Due to the language barrier, I can only serve as a janitor in a sect, gradually assimilating into this world. On this day, the S3 season commenced. Individuals from sects, both grand and humble, were transported to a singular arena. This marks a war that transpires once every century. The war of all races. Some are filled with exhilaration, while others are engulfed in sorrow. Particularly on the side of the Great Xia, a palpable atmosphere of grief pervades. It is over. Should we lose this time, the Great Xia may cease to exist. In the S1 season, we lost 80% of our spiritual essence. In the S2 season, we lost 80% of our treasures. This time, we have nothing to offer. Truly, it seems the heavens wish to obliterate the Great Xia. Countless individuals weep bitterly to the skies. The Great Xia could have stood invincible, yet, for reasons unknown, its civilization has faced a severance, with remnants of ancient heritage dwindling to a mere few. With such scant inheritance, it is utterly impossible to vanquish the formidable foreign powers, having already suffered defeat in 2 previous wars of all races. Even before this one has commenced, the people of the Great Xia themselves deem victory unattainable. Observing this, the foreign entities mockingly taunt, "Is the Great Xia still standing? What do you plan to sacrifice this time? 80% of your female cultivators. What else is there to compare? Perhaps it would be better to surrender outright." I personally would gladly welcome a few young and beautiful women from the Great Xia. Is it true that this time, the Great Xia has sent only the youth, as the older generation has perished? Ha ha ha. In Season 1, the Great Xia faced a crushing defeat. Consequently, they were stripped of 80% of their spiritual energy. Without spiritual energy, fundamental resources for cultivation are rendered non-existent. The elder generation of powerful beings has fallen one after another. In Season 2, the participants from the Great Xia were predominantly middle-aged individuals. Now, in Season 3, even middle-aged individuals have become a rare sight. Each face appears increasingly youthful. The lack of spiritual energy has greatly diminished the lifespan of the Great Xia people. Many here are merely in their 20s or 30s. Even the phrase sword control is difficult for them to articulate, let alone summon ancient beings for battle. The people of the Basin Kingdom are singing and dancing. Their dance is peculiar, entirely unlike anything of the mortal realm. Great Xia people, this time you are doomed. Our emperor has declared that we shall not accept surrender. You all must hold out a little longer. Otherwise, it will lose its charm. Allow me to suggest, your women may surrender. At this remark, the Great Xia people erupted in fury. Everyone is aware that the Basin Kingdom harbors unyielding intentions of annihilation against them. Regrettably, at present, survival itself is a formidable challenge for all. The competition is about to commence. In the end, the one who survives will emerge victorious. Each individual radiates an overwhelming aura. Some wield the golden holy sword, seemingly capable of adjudicating all that exists. Others grasp magical staves, summoning unparalleled arrays of lethal force with a mere wave of their hands. Some recite ancient incantations, enshrouded by an enigmatic power. Yet I, a mere mortal, can only find a semblance of security by cowering behind the beautiful sect leader. I am but an ordinary individual, lacking even the qualifications to serve as cannon fodder. Alas, there is no alternative. The prior 2 significant defeats have left the cultivators of the Great Xia in disarray, and even a lowly disciple like myself has been summoned. Shao Chun, stay behind us. The enchanting sect leader, and Qianro, instructed. Her beauty is unparalleled, and her strength commendable. Given another century, she would undoubtedly surpass the ancient monsters of foreign races. Regrettably, time is not on her side. Before she is fully matured, she is compelled to partake in the war of all races. Due to my humble status, I am often relegated to sweeping the entrance. Little did I know that this very entrance provided an opportunity to encounter the sect leader. Every day, exchanging pleasantries with Qianro, our rapport naturally blossomed. I had hoped to leverage this connection to gradually ascend the path of cultivation, only to find myself thrust into the fray. I fixated on the exquisite silhouette of Qianro, eager to witness the nature of the ancient divine language. Before long, A countdown appeared in the sky. After a few flickers, the sound of a bell tolled. The S3 season commenced in earnest. The war of all races has begun. The people of the Foot Basin Kingdom have set their sights on the Great Xia. A man of less than 1.5 meters in height greedily surveyed Qianru, as if she were already in his grasp. You cannot escape. You might as well follow me. From now on, at least you can preserve your life. And Qianru's face contorted with disdain as she prepared to strike at him. Master, you must conserve your strength. Allow me to handle this. An elderly man with white hair interposed himself. He was the Grand Elder of the sect, a figure of considerable prowess, and one of the few elders remaining in the region of Great Xia. The man from the Foot Basin Kingdom smirked with malevolence. I am in no way Gojuro. I seek your guidance. Please, the Grand Elder reciprocated with a respectful gesture. In no way Gojuro bellowed a command, then began to chant an ancient incantation. What's your name? I suddenly found myself momentarily taken aback. Golden characters morphed into runes, surging towards the Grand Elder. Seeing my bewildered expression, and Qianru explained, this is the principle of words manifesting as law. Once the Foot Basin Kingdom recognizes a foreign entity as their master, they can employ foreign languages in combat, even summoning ancient figures from their realm to join the fray. In no way Gojuro, noticing my confusion, couldn't resist a taunt. What are you staring at? Can a mere servant disciple comprehend this? And Qianru clenched her fists, her eyes filled with frustration. He is too powerful. Without centuries of cultivation, one cannot hope to contend with him. I never imagined the Foot Basin Kingdom would harbor such extraordinary talent. In contrast, the prodigies of Great Xia seldom lived to see a few hundred years. This was an undeniable flaw. Moreover, the scarcity of cultivation resources renders even the most gifted individuals lost in obscurity. The Grand Elder wore a grave expression, struggling to articulate, Jin, Zhong, Zhao. The golden bell shield. In the void, a radiant orb of golden light rapidly coalesced, taking the shape of a bell, adorned with gilded characters encircling it, accompanied by the faint sound of chanting. The great bell descended, enveloping the Grand Elder within its protective embrace. Boom! With a resounding crash, the golden bell shattered. The Grand Elder coughed up blood, gravely injured, collapsing to the ground. I stood there, utterly stunned, rooted in place, allowing the aftermath of the battle to wash over me. Isn't this just Mandarin? And Qianru raised her hand to shield against the residual force. I couldn't help but inquire, is this the ancient divine tongue? Indeed. And Qianru nodded. The three characters' golden bell shield took me considerable effort to master. I turned to observe the combat of others. An elderly woman with golden hair and blue eyes intoned, "What would you like to eat?" A young girl on the opposite side replied, "My name is Han Mimi." A young boy beside her chimed in, "My name is Lile." Boom. Completely off topic, both were instantly reduced to ashes. The Grand Elder's ability to withstand the golden bell shield does not imply that others can do the same. Strength is indeed a determining factor. I then shifted my gaze to the battles of others. The spell effects were increasingly dazzling, yet the dialogues became increasingly familiar. A sudden realization dawned upon me. I would also rise to the occasion. Just then, a sharp arrow was unleashed. Be careful. And Qianru swiftly gathered her strength and chanted the incantation, Feng Hu Zhao. A protective shield materialized, enveloping us in a veil of transparency. And Qianru's barrier was more solid than the Grand Elder's golden bell shield, providing superior protection. Another revelation struck me, and Qianru's Mandarin was more precise than that of the Grand Elder, thus rendering her stronger. Consequently, I could only conclude that I was formidable. Watch out, another elder warned. Above us, a massive meteorite plummeted. Qianru was the cornerstone of our side, and the foreign adversaries were deliberately targeting us. With a thunderous crack, the protective shield shattered. The colossal meteorite hurtled towards us. Master! Everyone gasped in shock. The foreign invaders wore expressions of derision, as if they could already envision us being crushed into oblivion. Am I to perish like this? I have yet to engage earnestly. The people of Daxia are truly fragile. From this day forth, there shall be no more Daxia. Gazing at the colossal meteor overhead, and Qianru despairingly closed her eyes, feeling a tinge of shame as she murmured, "I am sorry, I can no longer protect you." A warmth blossomed within my heart. Even at this moment, She could muster an apology, which attested to her character. Just as we were on the brink of being reduced to mere pulp by the meteor, I suddenly extended my hands and, in the most impeccable Mandarin, declared, 100 layers of protective shields. With a resonant hum, 30 layers of shields materialized before me. The meteor shattered through 20 layers before finally being halted, cascading to the ground. Everyone around us appeared as though they had seen a ghost. Yet a sense of confusion enveloped me. I distinctly commanded 100 layers. Why have only 30 manifested? And Qianruo, unable to conceal her excitement, exclaimed, Is 30 layers insufficient? In all my years, I have never witnessed such a formidable protective barrier. An elder beside us remarked, Your physical form is still lacking in strength. Otherwise, you might indeed have summoned 100 layers of protection. Wait a moment. The elder suddenly realized a pressing question. How is it that you possess such mastery of the ancient divine tongue? Before I could respond, a figure materialized before us, none other than Inoue Gojuro, who swiftly defeated the Grand Elder. Such a feat was enough to instill awe in all present. The battle was set to commence anew. Qianruo and her companions fought valiantly, yet they could only manage a stalemate against their adversaries. After several exchanges, Inoue G56, perhaps weary of the confrontation, produced a palm-sized stone statue and uttered an incantation in a foreign tongue, Tokugawa Shokyo. A thick smoke enveloped the scene. From this haze, a dark figure clad in armor gradually emerged. Inoue G56 proclaimed with pride, Tokugawa Shokyo is an ancient legend of our esteemed nation, renowned for his exceptional mastery in archery, swordsmanship, artillery, equestrian skills, and aquatic techniques. His swordsmanship once sought the guidance of the masters from the Shinto school, the Shinin school, and the Okuyama Shadow God school, ultimately surpassing his mentors. An overwhelming aura, unparalleled throughout history, began to permeate the atmosphere. Qianruo gasped in astonishment. I never imagined he could reach such heights at such a young age. My unwillingness to accept the situation prompted me to inquire, do we not possess such a statue? Indeed, we do. However, we are largely unfamiliar with it. How then could we summon it? Qianruo waved her hand, and 4 palm-sized stone statues materialized in her grasp. Just as I was about to examine them closely, a youthful figure swiftly snatched the statues away, disdainfully remarking, What use is it to entrust them to you? Do not presume that your slight talent in ancient divine language grants you any significance. The summoning of ancient figures is a sophisticated art not meant for the uninitiated. His name was Lu Ming, a formidable individual. Summoning ancient beings operates on a cooldown. One may only summon once every century. He harbored a deep-seated animosity towards our nation, and thus had no intention of relinquishing this opportunity to others. Lu Ming gazed intently at the 4 stone statues, his eyes suddenly sparkling with recognition. General Pan Feng, Master of Supplies Goen, General of Lingling Xing Daorong. Ha ha ha, I can name them all. Truly, heaven has favored me. Lu Ming laughed maniacally, poised to utter the names aloud. Startled, I hurried to intervene. Do not speak. Summoning the last one will undoubtedly overwhelm us. I was perplexed by how Qianruo had managed to retain such exceptional talents. Lu Ming cast a dismissive glance my way, scoffing, What do you know? Are you aware of the significance of the title general? The others regarded me as if I were a fool. Qianruo elucidated, according to ancient texts, a general holds the highest military rank. The texts also state that before the troops move, provisions must be prepared first. Thus, among these 3, the strongest must be. Before she could finish, Lu Ming interjected, Indeed, the strongest must be Goen. Their words left me utterly dumbfounded. At last, I comprehended how we had lost in the previous 2 seasons. Holding a trump card, yet choosing to play a 3, how could we not lose? Without further hesitation, Lu Ming recited the true name, Master of Supplies Goen. As his words echoed, a haughty voice resounded, Ha ha ha, I deride Zhuge's lack of strategy and Sima's limited wit. I need only to employ a slight ruse to manipulate these 2 at my whim. I ask, who in this world could possibly be my rival? The people of the Great Xia rejoiced with uncontainable joy. What an astounding declaration of dominance! The master of provisions, Goen, has arrived. We are saved. They embraced one another, and many were moved to tears of ecstasy. They wept. I, too, shed tears. Was this not the end? In the arena, Goen, inebriated, cast a glance at Tokugawa-kei, rebuking, "Who are you to stand in my way? Step aside at once." Tokugawa-kei, infuriated, drew his sword and struck down fiercely. He was prepared for a fierce battle with his opponent. Yet, with that single blow, Goen was cleaved in two without uttering a single cry. A profound silence enveloped the crowd. Tokugawa-kei was momentarily stunned. Outsiders turned their gaze towards this spectacle. After several seconds of stunned silence, the arena erupted in laughter. Ha ha ha. The Great Xia truly is a fading legacy. They cannot even withstand a single strike. This is simply absurd. What kind of master is this? I suggest you hastily select a foreign leader and acknowledge them as your sovereign. Otherwise, the Great Xia shall surely face annihilation. Silence fell over the Great Xia. No one dared to speak. Heat flushed across their faces. Lu Ming's expression shifted ominously between shades of blue and purple. Qianro quickly exclaimed, "Let us together summon the other two ancient figures." Lu Ming nodded. Rationalizing his defeat with a plausible excuse, Gaoan lacks the title of general, which may very well be the reason for our loss. The other two are undoubtedly extraordinary warriors. General Pan Feng, General Xing Daorong of Zero Ridge, they called in unison. I scarcely had time to cover their mouths before the divine words were invoked. Two figures appeared, striding with an air of indifference. Tokugawa Shaokong sneered, "Surely it cannot be another nameless rabble?" I steeled myself, harboring a flicker of hope regarding these two. After all, the strength of a martial general is often relative to their opponents. While these two were lacking in prowess compared to the top tier, they might still surpass those of lesser stature. One of them declared, "Reveal my name, and it shall startle you. I am General Xing Daorong of Zero Ridge." Upon hearing this proclamation, my anxieties were finally laid to rest. The other added, "I am General Pan Feng." With their names announced, the three engaged in combat. What was termed a battle was, in truth, a one-sided massacre. In less than 3 exchanges, Tokugawa Shaokong had vanquished both of them. How could this happen? Lu Ming spat a mouthful of blood and collapsed unconscious. Laughter erupted among the foreign spectators. The performance of the Daxia forces was so dismal that it could only be described as farcical. The Grand Elder, just recovering, was so enraged by the scene that he fainted once more. Inoue Gojuro turned his gaze toward Qianro and, seizing her, declared, "You are mine." He summoned his power with an incantation, conjuring a rope that bound Qianro in a remarkably skilled manner. "You dare!" I was utterly infuriated, instinctively unleashing a curse, Inoue. ICNM. As my words echoed in Mandarin, a palpable force of law emerged on the scene. This was the power of our national essence, transcending the usual command of spoken words. Inoue Gojuro was momentarily startled, momentarily neglecting Qianro to assume a defensive stance, bracing for the impending impact of the law. Tokugawa Shaokong also swiftly positioned himself to shield Inoue Gojuro. However, the force of law completely disregarded them, drifting toward the distant rear. Upon witnessing that nothing transpired, Inoue Gojuro began to mock, "Your Great Xia truly is worthless. Everything is futile, even the laws." The next moment, a startled cry arose from behind. "Eek!" An elderly woman found herself ensnared by an enigmatic force seated atop the well. She clung desperately to the edge of the well. Upon recognizing her face, Inoue Gojuro gasped, "Mother!" Qianro blinked her large, watery eyes, filled with curiosity, and inquired, "I understand the reasoning, but why is she sitting on the well?" I earnestly explained, otherwise. How could her child possibly be named Inoue? The difficulty is akin to Pan Jinlian hanging upside down. At this point, I hesitated, fearing the potential consequences of my words. Should the law respond, the ensuing events would delve into paid content. Inoue Gojuro, left with no choice, took a step back. He untied Qianro, and I released her mother. The two parties found themselves in a standoff. He had completely developed a deep-seated hatred towards me, gritting his teeth as he declared, "Dare you, little man of the great Xia, to engage me in battle? What is there to fear?" Having grasped the rules of this world, I boldly stepped forward and beckoned with a finger, "Come over here." Ishikawa Gojuro spat out a single word through clenched teeth, "Kill." Tokugawa Koko wielded a large sword, exuding an aura as if he were about to claim a life. My gaze shifted to the remaining statue, its image deeply etched in memory. I summoned the revered Lord Guan Yu. The statue emitted a verdant glow, and Qianro exclaimed in panic, "This is disastrous. I have consulted ancient texts, and this figure was defeated at Maicheng, not a formidable warrior at all. How could you have summoned him?" A twitch crossed my lips. Among so many idioms, this was the one that had persisted. Tokugawa Koko scrutinized Guan Yu and remarked slowly, "His demeanor is commendable, though his strength appears somewhat lacking." "Humph." Guan Yu snorted disdainfully, stroking his long beard. "I see that you are merely a braggart." With that, he abruptly opened his phoenix eyes. Red mist swirled around his steed, and a faint dragon's roar resonated from the Qinglong saber. Guan Yu charged forward, dragging his blade, and as he reached his opponent, he swung down fiercely at his head. Tokugawa Koko, refusing to back down, raised his sword to block. A thunderous clash ensued, and Tokugawa Koko's long blade was brutally cleaved in two. Ah! He barely had time to emit a chilling scream before being cleaved in twain, disintegrating into the most primordial energy that dissipated into the cosmos. The statue in Inoue Gojuro's grasp shattered. He gazed at Guan Yu in disbelief, exclaiming, "This is impossible. What manner of person is Tokugawa Koko? How could he be vanquished in a single strike?" I shrugged nonchalantly and retorted, "Too strong, is it my fault?" The people of Daxia finally grasped the situation. "We've won. We triumphed." The crowd erupted in euphoric cheers, as if to expel the humiliation they had endured over the years. Guan Yu remained remarkably composed, unperturbed by this minor victory. Armed with his green dragon crescent blade, he charged into the throng of the myriad races. With each swing, he felled foes one by one, eliciting cries of despair wherever he went. The casualties among the islanders were particularly severe, with several ancient beings meeting their demise on the battlefield. Inoue Gojuro narrowly escaped death. This exemplified the awe-inspiring power of Guan Yu. After a relentless quarter of an hour of slaughter, Guan Yu's form began to shimmer, becoming translucent, as if he were on the verge of vanishing. I inquired, "What is happening?" With a tinge of regret, Guan Yu explained, "Our true forms are engaged in battle among the stars beyond. Regrettably, my doppelganger possesses limited energy, preventing the complete extermination of these wretches." It was then that the people of Daxia comprehended the reason behind the fracture in their civilization. They were left pondering what formidable existence warranted the exodus of these ancient deities. As Guan Yu transformed into a wisp of azure smoke and faded away, a profound sadness enveloped the crowd. Inoue Gojuro, driven to the brink of madness, declared, "I wonder who among you can save yourselves now." He once again retrieved a serpentine statue, uttering in an alien tongue, "Yamada no Archie." With a hissing sound, a colossal figure emerged, dark, twisted, and slithering. It was none other than the legendary eight-headed serpent from the mythology of the Kingdom of Foot Basin. I widened my eyes in disbelief, exclaiming, "This defies logic. Wasn't it said that such beings belong to ancient times? Is this a human? Moreover, this creature is a mythological beast that cannot possibly exist in reality." In response, Inoue Gojuro proclaimed, "With a statue, one can summon. You are not qualified to deny the myths of our Kingdom of Foot Basin. Is that even possible?" I was utterly astonished. The existence of a statue was sufficient for summoning. This world seemed indifferent to the notions of history. To them, everything was simply a relic of ancient lore. A look of indescribable pride adorned Inoue Gojuro's face, as he declared, "If you cannot win, just admit it. What use are all those excuses? We were merely careless earlier, allowing you to exploit a gap. This time, your demise is assured. You shall all be devoured by the serpent." I hastily turned to Qianro and asked, "Do we have any statues left?" "Only this half of one," she replied. Do you recognize it? Qianro produced the fragmented statue, which originally depicted a man with a dog. However, the statue was damaged, leaving only the upper half of the man. The slender dog at his feet remained intact, based on the weapon the man held. It was not difficult to deduce the identity of the figure. I pointed at the statue and called out in the most precise Mandarin, Xiao Tianjin Quan. As the words left my lips, a plume of black mist arose. Ha ha ha. Inoue Gojuro chuckled. It seems my Yamada no Orochi can indulge in some canine delicacies. The monstrous serpent lunged fiercely towards the daxia. Before the Shoutian dog could emerge, a dreadful presence emanated from the black mist, ancient and profound. Instinctively, Yamada no Orochi ceased its assault, its serpent eyes fixated on the darkness. Playing tricks? It hissed. What nonsense about the Shoutian dog? Watch as I devour you whole. Inoue Gojuro commanded once more. Without hesitation, the serpent opened its gaping maw, intent on consuming both the mist and the dog. In the shrine of the true monarch. You may call me Shoutian dog, but what shall you name me beyond its confines? As he spoke, a short-haired, slender dog sauntered forth with a leisurely gait. A mere glance from it sent chills coursing through Inoue Gojuro, as if he had encountered an unspeakable horror. Awoo! The Shoutian dog howled like a wolf, then leaped high, sinking its teeth fiercely into the vital point of one serpent head, as if gnawing on a spicy snack. The remaining 7 heads, however, did not dare to retaliate. Stinky and foul, not appetizing. Begone! Spat the Shoutian dog. The Yamada no Orochi's gaze turned to one of terror, and disregarding Inoue Gojuro's protests, it transformed into white smoke and fled. Scoundrel! Inoue Gojuro cursed vehemently. Yet, as he lifted his gaze, the Shoutian dog was already upon him. With a gentle swipe of its paw, Inoue Gojuro was instantly reduced to a mist of crimson. The celestial hound, indifferent to their presence, charged directly into the throngs of myriad races, akin to the earlier actions of Guan Yu. To everyone's astonishment, its combat prowess was on par with that of the Western deities. Amidst the chaos of battle, it was impossible to ascertain how many foreign powerhouses had been vanquished. King of the gods, Zeus. Lord of the underworld, Hades. The 2 eminent figures of the West chanted the names of their deities in unison. The 2 unparalleled divine kings descended upon the battlefield, unleashing their mightiest techniques. Annihilate all from the Great Xia, they proclaimed in unison. Numerous foreign factions temporarily united, intensifying the pressure on the forces of Great Xia. With the addition of Zeus and Hades, even the celestial hound found itself struggling. Bolts of lightning rained down relentlessly, rendering the hound's form increasingly translucent. What are you so proud of? I am merely a fragment of my true self, the celestial hound roared defiantly. Yet, as Zeus delivered a crushing blow, the celestial hound vanished entirely. I felt as if I were on the brink of collapse. Qianro supported me, her voice laced with concern. You should rest for a moment. Even I cannot withstand the strain of 2 consecutive summons. I attempted to employ my verbal incantation to restore my body, but each effort ended in failure. Such exhaustion could only be remedied through elixirs or prolonged rest, neither of which we possessed, and our adversaries would not grant us the luxury of respite. Every second bore witness to casualties. I forced myself to muster the last of my resolve, preparing for one final endeavor. Do we still have the statue? Lu Ming, having awakened at some point, shyly retrieved a statue from his belongings. I have here a little figure of a kid on roller skates. In the realm of Daxia, stone statues are indeed a rarity. After all, they have suffered defeats for 2 consecutive seasons, leading to countless instances of destruction and theft. The crowd displayed expressions of disappointment. Their appearance alone suggested a lack of strength. With 2 small tufts atop their heads and a rather infuriating expression on their faces, I found myself captivated by a sudden inspiration. The fire-tip spear, the mysterious heaven-s silk, the universe circle, such iconic imagery. It must be you, I exclaimed. Let us proceed. Neza. This was the final opportunity for summoning. I was uncertain from which era this Neza hailed, yet I decided to take a gamble. Who calls upon me? A languid voice resonated. Neza appeared, wielding the fire-tipped spear. Zeus, observing from a distance, scoffed, "Little brat, step aside." Neza, instantly incensed, struck a grandiose pose and introduced himself. "I am Neza, the third prince, capable of subduing demons and composing poetry. Today, I have come to eradicate evil. You vile creatures, prepare to meet your doom." Zeus and Hades were momentarily taken aback. Neza swiftly knocked the hammer from Zeus's hand, warning, "Don't just stand there. Prepare to face your end." Feeling insulted, Zeus brandished his thunder-shaped weapon alongside a shield. This weapon was more formidable than the hammer, enough to instill tremors even among the gods. The shield, known as the Aegis, or Zeus's shield, was famed for its absolute defense. By the power of thunder, Zeus summoned his divine strength to its zenith. A bolt of celestial lightning descended, cleaving the earth and creating an abyssal chasm. Thick smoke billowed, obscuring the sight of Neza. All eyes were fixed upon the scene. Reduced to ashes. Truly worthy of the king of the gods, many cheered. The people of the Foot Basin Kingdom clasped their hands together and proposed, "Esteemed ones, why don't we unite to eliminate the people of the Great Xia first?" Naturally, the other races had no objections to such a notion. On the side of Great Xia, the situation had reached a critical juncture. In the next moment, a familiar voice emerged from the swirling dust. "The thunder rumbles, how frightful! It has left me in tatters. Yet, here I stand, still alive." As the dust settled, Neza emerged unscathed. Zeus was momentarily taken aback. He had unleashed his wrathful power, only to find that his full force strike had been withstood. "Come, let us battle." As the king of the gods, Zeus was not one to be trifled with. He quickly regained his composure. "Come, let us battle." Neza revealed his true form, and the two engaged in fierce combat, becoming the focus of all present. Mount Olympus manifested amidst the thunder, a domain exclusive to the king of the gods, where no lesser deity dared to tread. With the wind and fire wheels beneath his feet, Neza summoned his 3 heads and 8 arms, charging directly into the storm clouds. Has he lost his mind? Daring to confront Zeus in his realm without reaching the divine king's threshold. He is still too young, too impulsive. The crowd murmured among themselves. Zeus, wielding his thunder, stood upon the clouds and proclaimed, "Impudent child of the East, do you dare to intrude upon the domain of the king of the gods? In this guise, you appear to be nothing but a fiend." His voice rang out like a great bell as he summoned 12 world-destroying pillars of thunder. In the midst of a tempest, the ethereal silhouettes of the Olympian gods emerged from the lightning, each bolt infused with the essence of divine law. Boom! The thunder seemed poised to rend the very fabric of existence. From below, it evoked an overwhelming sense of apocalyptic dread. "Who do you think you are?" Neza bellowed to the heavens, "My fate is mine to command, not dictated by fate. Whether divine or demonic, I hold the reins." The magical silk transformed into a crimson dragon, entwining fiercely around the thunderous artifact. The fire thrust forth, igniting the sky into a hue reminiscent of molten glass. "Old wretch, behold my spear." The tip pierced through the stormy skies, surging towards Zeus. With no choice but to forsake the thunder, Zeus raised his shield. A clang resonated as the two forces collided, producing a sound akin to clashing metal. "Break for me." Neza thrust with all his might. The fabled indomitable shield of Zeus shattered with a resounding crack. Zeus was impaled, a bloom of golden-red blood erupting from his chest. The arena fell into stunned silence. The God King has fallen. How can this be? The child of the great Xia surpasses even the King of Gods. Doubt clouded the minds of all present. Yet the reality lay stark before them. In that moment, it was Hades who felt the deepest regret. Had he foreseen this? He would have disregarded his status and joined forces in a 2-on-1 confrontation. "Everyone, heed my command. Channel all our strength into Hades." A man with golden hair and azure eyes began to orchestrate. One by one, the others complied, and Hades grew increasingly powerful, a tempest of the underworld swirling around him. The entire battlefield was shrouded in a mist of shadows. Hades has nearly transported the entirety of the underworld. We shall join as well. And Qianro took the lead, and the people of the Great Xia infused their strength into Neza's form. Neza's power surged, his eyes ablaze with fervor. Law manifests in the heavens and the earth. In an instant, his body transformed to a colossal size. The windfire wheels evolved into the infernal red lotus, tearing the nether mist apart with an 800-mile rift. Beneath Hades' skeletal throne, a 9-headed hellhound erupted. The god of the underworld waved his scepter lightly, summoning 1,000,000 restless souls from the Bone Mountains. Kill! Hades commanded with a sweeping gesture, embodying an aura of invincibility. Neza cast forth the universal silk, ensnaring the hellhound's neck with a vice-like grip, while the fire spear pierced through its 9 heads. The ordinary skeletal spirits could not even draw near. With a cold smirk, Hades summoned the essence of the underworld. The pitch-black waters of the river Styx surged, corrupting the very fabric of space in its wake. Should this deluge descend upon the earth, it would possess the power to annihilate worlds. The lotus pattern on Neza's forehead blossomed, channeling his strength to its zenith. The infernal red lotus flourished amidst the river Styx, each rotation causing the waters to vaporize for hundreds of miles. The two forces collided with a thunderous crash, fragments of myriad laws cascading like a torrential downpour. As the essence of the underworld shattered, sunlight once again bathed the earth in its warmth. The crowd lifted their gazes, witnessing Neza piercing through Hades' breastplate with his spear. The god of the underworld's scepter fell to the ground. The remaining infernal flames and the waters of the Styx continued their relentless struggle. The shattered realm of the underworld was adorned with burning petals of the other shore flower, creating an exquisite scene. Yet, the multitude lacked the heart to appreciate its beauty. Ah! Hades let out a wail, only to be reduced to ashes thereafter. The remaining battle has lost all suspense. The foreign warriors have knelt in submission. We are willing to yield. We surrender. We have capitulated. A voice resonated from the heavens, devoid of sorrow or joy. The war of the multitudes has concluded. The Great Xia emerges victorious. I exchanged a glance with Qianro, and the tension that had gripped us finally dissipated. Qianro had always been the cornerstone of our efforts. With my support, she had become the de facto empress. Representatives of the various tribes lined up to submit their letters of surrender. Most were compliant. They could capitulate by returning the spiritual energy and treasures plundered from the Great Xia, alongside offering a sufficient price. As for the Foot Basin Nation, after the elder generation perished in battle, a few middle-aged men had assumed control. We shall cease hostilities. We surrender. Their expressions were marked by a sense of humiliation. It was evident they were reluctant. Cease hostilities? I raised an eyebrow as if I had heard something astonishing. In the S1 season, you carried out large-scale plundering of Great Xia's resources. Over the past century, how many of our people have you slain? My tone grew heavier as I continued. Just moments ago, you declared your unwillingness to accept surrender. Now you claim to cease fighting? Surrender? It is too late. The final 2 words were almost forced through clenched teeth. Qianro remained silent. She is an emotional individual, yet certainly not a saint. I merely articulated the sentiments she wished to express, but could not. The people of the Foot Basin Kingdom trembled as they spoke. Do you not fear the chroniclers documenting your atrocities if you intend to slay us? As the words escaped their lips, a flicker of courage ignited within them, and they pointed accusingly at Qianro, exclaiming, "Qianro, do you aspire to be a tyrant?" I wore an innocuous smile, replying, "Do not misunderstand. How could we possibly harm those who have surrendered?" A collective sigh of relief swept through the Foot Basin Kingdom's representatives, for they possessed a profound understanding of the emperors of the Great Xia, who placed immense value on honor. No one wished to be labeled a tyrant. Qianro and I proceeded to the adjacent room, where Lu Ming awaited the outcome. His enmity towards the Foot Basin Kingdom ran deep, and he was reluctant to grant them their freedom. I inquired, "Was it they who took your sister's life?" Lu Ming nodded, a fierce glint of vengeance igniting in his eyes. "My parents also fell victim to their hands." I muttered to myself, "Yet they assert they will cease hostilities." Lu Ming's fury flared instantly. "Cease? They have slaughtered countless of our kin, and now that they have suffered defeat, they simply abandon their weapons and declare a truce. By what right do they refuse to fight? His agitation escalated, culminating in tears as he lamented. They return home after their rampage. They all have homes. But what of mine? Where are my parents? My sister? I remained silent, inadvertently dropping a stone statue to the ground. Then, lost in thought, I murmured, "Where has that statue I just picked up gone?" I mused that it was quite remarkable and must not be picked up by anyone else. Where, oh where, is my divine killer, Bai Qi? As I searched, I wandered further away, prompting in Xianro to hastily follow in my footsteps. However, as she departed, she inadvertently dropped a small trinket. Lu Ming had seen this object before. It was the staff of Hades. Upon casting his gaze upon the statue on the ground, Lu Ming's eyes gradually descended into madness. A few days later, and Xianro officially ascended the throne as emperor, ushering in a new era for the world. Strangely, despite my exhaustive search through ancient texts, I could find no mention of the celestial realms beyond our own. I found myself gazing at the starry sky, murmuring to myself, what lies beyond the stars, worthy of the collective mobilization of the venerable sages of the Great Xia. Extra Chapter 1, Andromeda Galaxy. On a certain planet, a soldier reported, "Leader, the inhabitants of the solar system are attacking us." A figure adorned as a leader exclaimed in astonishment, "How is this possible? They are over 2 million light-years away. Have they somehow mastered wormhole technology?" The soldier replied, "It appears they have utilized an alternative method, arriving here in just a few centuries." The leader immediately commanded, "Launch a counterattack at once and obliterate these intruders." I refuse to believe we cannot eradicate a mere Type 0.7 civilization. In the neighboring Sagittarius galaxy, a soldier reported, "Leader, Andromeda's surprise attack on the solar system has failed, and they are now at our doorstep. Should we intervene?" The leader inquired, "Why should we intervene?" The soldier almost instinctively replied, "Doing so could resolve our conflict with the Andromeda galaxy. After all, they are merely a Type 0.7 civilization." The leader gazed at the soldier with incredulity and scolded, "Foolish. Do you truly believe that a civilization capable of defining the levels of cosmic civilizations is merely at 0.7? The soldier fell silent, sensing something amiss. In the Andromeda galaxy, countless warships ascended to confront their foes. Their adversaries appeared peculiar, floating in the vastness of space without any protective gear. An elder was the first to strike, in the cold of winter. "One knows the pine and cypress will not wither." As his words echoed, an invisible force of natural law surged forth. The expanse ahead, stretching billions of miles, seemed to lose all sense of time and space. Everything was frozen. Although the Andromeda galaxy suffered significant losses, numerous warships still soared into the cosmos to engage the enemy. Prepare the Level 10 Star Destroyer Cannon. The colossal energy weapon possessed the capability to obliterate a star with a single strike. The sages of the Great Xia, however, remained undaunted. Another elder interjected, "To subdue others by force is not to win their hearts. Force alone cannot sustain." Just as the energy cannon was poised to unleash its fury, half of the warships experienced a sudden depletion of energy, leaving even the crew feeling as though their strength had been siphoned away. "Useless. We still have half our warships." The leader of the Andromeda galaxy exclaimed frantically, "Level 10 Star Destroyer Cannon, fire." Countless beams of energy erupted forth, unavoidable and relentless. As the two elders prepared to act again, a middle-aged man stepped forth, clasping his hands in salute and declaring, "Confucius and Mencius, leave the rear to us." The two elderly men nodded slightly. The middle-aged man pointed towards the beam of energy, uttering, "In the realm of Orchid Pavilion, let us henceforth remain unseparated." Strangely, the beams reversed direction, propelling towards the Annihilation battleship. Wherever they originated, they returned. Boom! The battleship was struck by the Annihilation cannon, illuminating the cosmos with a splendid display of fireworks. "What a masterful technique, O Saint of Books!" praised Guan Yu, giving a thumbs up. The middle-aged man waved his hand humbly, replying, merely a trivial skill, hardly comparable to the prowess of the two martial saints. Just as Guan Yu was about to speak again, he suddenly froze in place. Beside him stood a robust man who, noticing Guan Yu's daze, inquired, "What troubles you?" "Brother Yinchang?" Guan Yu revealed a look of disdain. "On Earth, there are those who presume to believe that the great Xia is without defenders." "Oh!" The sturdy man asked with concern, "What is the situation?" "No harm done. It has been resolved." "Brother Pingju, shall we strike together this time?" "Excellent." Extra Chapter 3. On this day, the Andromeda Galaxy faced an unprecedented assault. They had not even discerned their adversaries' names, only recalling various titles: the Saint of War, the Saint of Medicine, the Saint of Poetry, the Saint of Weaving, the Saint of Craftsmanship. Each spoke with increasing humility, yet each action was more ruthless than the last. A single move from each shattered the entire galaxy. Numerous planets exploded, scattering fragments that formed a river of stars. In the vast expanse of the universe, no civilization dared to disturb the solar system any longer. Occasionally, there are disc-shaped spacecraft that pass near Earth, daring only to swiftly traverse the starry sky, never daring to linger.